On the road to riches speeding, I just hope I'm not lost. Lost some homies, run away for them, I gotta push on. If you ain't here to work, bustin', you can get lost. Thought my heart was freezing, gotta let it defrost. On the road to riches speeding, I just hope I'm not lost. Lost some homies, run away for them, I gotta push on. If you ain't here to work, bustin', you can get lost.
Hello, and welcome to the 8th episode of the Minnesota Mike's podcast. I'm your host, Mike Thornton. Thank you all so much for joining me. The music, that's my nephew, Bay Bandit. You can follow him on Instagram at BayBandit_. You can follow him on SoundCloud at Bay Bandit. And me, your host, Mike Thornton. Go ahead and give me a follow. Follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Minnesota Mike's. Follow me on Instagram at Minnesota Mike's Podcast. Hit the like and subscribe button, please. We need to grow this. We support our Minnesota athletes, especially our college athletes. And the bigger that this show grows, the more that we can do in supporting our athletes and making sure that we keep the best homegrown talent here and that we can attract the best talent from other states here in these United States, frankly, all over the world. Now, speaking of non-local talent, our next guest is a men's basketball player for the Golden Gophers, and he's not from Minnesota. Taylon Cooper is from South Carolina, and so this will be his first year for the Gophers. So just like many of you, this podcast is really my first true opportunity to get to know Taylon. And Taylon was just really cool. I described my first athlete guest, who was Trayton Thompson, 7-footer, and his teammate, Taylon's teammate, that is, for the Gophers men's basketball team. I described Trayton as cool as the other side of the pillow. I think that's the exact same way I would describe Taylon Cooper. He described himself on this interview as an old soul, and I would definitely agree. His music genre is real cool, wasn't what I expected. So yeah, just a cool guy, cool man. I can imagine there's some real good vibes in that men's basketball locker room. Coach Johnson's got a lot of cool horses to work with there. Let's get into it. Enjoy meeting our new point guard for the Golden Gophers men's basketball team, Taylon Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest will truly make you excited for the future of Golden Gophers basketball. He's the new point guard of our team with multiple years of eligibility. Now, he's not a rookie. Last year for Morehead State, he was top 10 in the country in the entire NCAA for assists. He also had 3 steals per game, and he's shooting over 40% from the field in his career. He's my favorite type of point guard. He gets the best out of his teammates. He's an elite distributor, and he plays very good defense, constantly creating turnovers. And so with all that being said, I am honored to introduce you to the new point guard for the Golden Gophers men's basketball team, Taylon Cooper. Taylon, how are you doing, good sir?
I'm good. How about you?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you. I'm a big Gopher Hoops fan, and hey, welcome to Minnesota.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. So I'd love to start by asking you how you're liking the state of Minnesota so far. Tell me about the transition from Morehead State, and correct me if I'm wrong, your hometown is South Carolina. You were born in Detroit, so how's the transition to Minnesota going so far?
It's going great. Great group of guys, great coaching staff. Everything's been good so far. I just haven't hit that snow, that wind, the coldness yet. So whenever that happens, I probably won't like it. But other than that, it's been pretty good, though.
Hey, I'm glad I'm asking that question now in late September instead of March, February. Hey, keep that same vibe, keep that same attitude. Minnesota's great. No, you'll be just fine here. You got to bundle up. So next question. With that being said, now you hit the transfer portal, you leveled up, and you're in the Big Ten, and I'm sure you're going to make a lot of people proud with the choice to the University of Minnesota. So tell me, what were your first thoughts on Minnesota when Coach Johnson first reached out to you and talked to you about being a Gopher?
Being a kid, being raised in Detroit for 10 years, I was just always around Big Ten basketball. And me and my dad always used to watch the Big Ten a lot. So just growing up around it, the environment, I like the opportunity that what he was coming at me with, the way he was talking to me just about playing in the Big Ten. It's always been a dream just to play at the highest level as possible in college. So just having that opportunity, it was just something I couldn't pass up.
Hey, I hear you, man. You got to be the best. You got to beat the best. And the Big Ten is a solid conference. Now, you were an elite player in the Ohio Valley Conference and a difference maker as soon as your career started. How are you feeling about the opportunity to play at the Big Ten level?
It's pretty much coming to the same attitude, having a chip on my shoulder. Growing up, always been overlooked. Just having that chip, just always having that chip on my shoulder.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So next question I have for you. I'm sure you will compete like crazy to make your mark in this conference and I'm excited to see it. So many great point guards in Big Ten history, from Bobby Jackson of the great Gophers teams of the 90s to Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas. My next question for you, if you had to choose one player, any player to model your game after, who would that player be and why?
All I'll probably say Chris Paul. And the reason I say Chris Paul is because he's not the fastest point guard out there. Like he knows when to pass the ball, when to come off. Like he knows, like his IQ is just out the roof. It's insane, and like he just always make the right decision. I feel like Chris Paul is just a like great decision maker, and that's why I just try to replicate my game after just making the right decision at the right times.
I've always been a Chris Paul, but I'm all Timberwolves, man, and hopefully he does good against every team but my Wolves, man. This is our year. And honestly, it's a good segue into my next question now. Minnesota Mike's podcast. We tend to talk a lot of Minnesota sports on this show. As my tagline
Right.
says, though, we're all on the same team here at the Minnesota Mike's podcast. And with that being said, I know you're originally from South Carolina, born in Detroit. Are you a sports fan? What are some of your favorite sports teams and why?
Kid from Detroit. I'm a Detroit everything. Even though we might not be good after yesterday, I'm upset with my Lions right now. That was a let down, but it's the Lions. That's what they do apparently. But I've been following the Lions a little bit. I really couldn't follow Detroit for a while. We haven't been good in a minute. And last time I really followed Detroit was when they had Chauncey, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace. I remember that team like it was yesterday. It's my favorite Detroit team that I ever seen play. My dad was a big Tigers fan, so I used to follow them a lot with my dad. So it's a couple teams. It's not crazy.
Oh, that's very cool, man. You got to cheer the hometown team,
Yeah.
win, lose, or draw. Your Lions, I was there yesterday. I'm not sure how they lost that game. They found a way to lose it, and hey, to the benefit of my Vikings. But no, that's very cool, man. Next question for you. I know music is big for me. It's big for a lot of my old teammates. I imagine music big for you. Who are some of your favorite artists? Or even better yet, what's some of your favorite music genres?
So right now, my favorite artist is Rod Wave, like hands down, favorite artist. But my favorite genre of music is like R&B. But when I say R&B, I don't mean like today's R&B. I mean like 90s, 80s, like probably my mama in the music. That's just what I grew up on. Like even my coach, like Coach Dorsey, always say I'm an old soul. That's all. Like I love old R&B music.
That's what's up. So like some what? New Edition, Boys to Men.
New Edition, Boys to Men. Then you got was it Mint Condition?
Yes, yep.
Mint Condition, like all of them, man. Just love the type of music.
I love it, man. Hey, that's awesome. All right, very cool. Thanks so much for that answer.
Yeah.
Oh, now new to Minnesota, and so yeah, you all just started school, so you really probably haven't had a ton of opportunities to get to know everyone yet. But I see you guys have done some cool team building activities. So, has anyone on the team taken you under their wing, showed you around town, and made you feel at home as much as possible? That is.
Yeah. So far, it's been Parker Fox. She coming in from back home from South Carolina, I was flying into here. Me and Parker actually met in I think DC. I think we met somewhere in DC, like somewhere we met, and we actually flew in together. And ever since then, like he just took me on his wing, showed me around places, took me like this ice cream place called Nelson's, which is really good. I'm obsessed with that place now. But yeah, he just showed me a lot. And he's been traveling a lot around Minnesota.
That's cool, man. I hear a lot of good things about Parker. I know he's interacted with me a little bit on social media. He seems like a great person. You got a good teammate there. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery. And the next question for you, we talk music. One thing is that a lot of my teammates, when I played football, that is we love to play sports. We love to play Madden. We love to play 2K. I imagine you and the guys play 2K. If so, who would you say is the best 2K player on the Golden Gophers basketball team?
I haven't played everybody yet, but I don't think nobody's touching me. And when it comes to 2K,
Okay.
that's how I feel about it. I'm very confident about 2K. Now we talk about Madden. I'm be honest. I'm not good at Madden, but 2K, I got that. That's me.
Hey, I love the confidence, man. I absolutely love it. That's very cool. And you heard it here first, folks, on the Minnesota Mike's podcast. Taylon Cooper is the best 2K player. At least I know you haven't seen everybody play yet, but that's very cool. So thanks so much for that answer. We tend to end this show on food reviews. I'm a chunky boy. I like food. You already talked about ice cream. You already got me hungry. But we're going to get into that question a little bit later. Next question I have for you is, what would you say is the favorite part of your game, as far as basketball that is, and why?
Favorite part of my game is it's probably my passing. I like to be like well known as an elite passer. Make sure I get the hitting people on the right time. Make sure I hit them in that pocket so they be able to catch and shoot. Just being well known as elite passer. Just I don't know. Just different from everybody else. I feel like today's game, like everybody worried about scoring. I just feel like everybody can be a scorer in the NBA. So you got to just find something that you're really good at and just excel at it, be great at it, be elite at it. So that's why I just love to be a passer.
Okay, that's very cool. And Lion, that's my favorite type of point guard. It's rare now. It is rare because there's so
Right.
many other ways to affect the game positively. So looking forward to you making the teammates better and checking y'all out at the barn. That's a special place, man. You probably got some studying to do, right? You guys had practice. You got to relax a little too. We'll end this thing on food. And you're new to the Twin Cities, so maybe we'll touch on food from South Carolina, food from Detroit, if you can remember it, Kentucky, where you went to school at Morehead State. Tell me about some of your favorite places to eat, even if my audience isn't familiar with those restaurants. And then once you're done with that, maybe tell me about some of the favorite spots that you've eaten at here in Dinkytown or in the Twin Cities.
All right. So I'm gonna start off in Detroit, in Michigan. So I don't know where it is exactly. Like it's been a minute since I've been back to Detroit, but it's a place there called either Vic's or Vicky's. It's like the best rib place you can get. Like it's so good. I remembered it to this day. That's how good it is. Very good rib place. Back in South Carolina, that's a wing place in Spartanburg called T Wings. Very good wings. Probably the best wing in Spartanburg that you can get. And then for all my seafood lovers, in Kentucky, in Lexington, it's a place called Storm and Crab. It's very good. Close to the University of Kentucky.
See me over here. I'm taking notes. I like to travel. I like to eat. I like to do it all. So Storm and
Yeah.
Crabs. Okay, T&T. Very nice. Vicky's or Vic's, one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, that sounds great, man. Look, we've showed your highlights on the social media promo. I'll be showing in on this actual podcast episode. You are a great point guard. Mother reached out once I posted the social media promo. You got a great mama there, right? She raised a great boy. So I am so looking forward to seeing you and Dawson Garcia and Trayton Thompson and all the other dudes ball out this year. So keep working hard, make some noise. Win, lose, or draw, we'll be there to support you. Thanks so much for joining me on this show. It means a lot to me.
No, I appreciate you having me. And go for
Gophers. We'll have to do it again sometime, man. All right, you take care.
Yes, sir. All right, you too.
Folks, wow. Taylon Cooper is such a cool guy, man. I'm so happy that he took the time out of his busy schedule to join me on this show and introduce himself to you all. Now, look, if you haven't been to the barn yet, go to the barn. It is a special place. Williams Arena is, I believe it's one of the oldest arenas. I know it's one of the oldest arenas in college sports, one of the oldest venues. And it is just really cool. You get that nostalgia. That's a lot of just good environment, good atmosphere, a lot of cool cheers. And so, real cool thing there that we have going on at Williams Arena in Dinkytown. And I'm very much looking forward to watching those guys play. This episode's going to be short and sweet. Remainder of this season, going forward, these shows are going to be a little bit shorter. We want to make sure that your attention spans are still there because there's a lot going on. Hey, I'm watching Monday Night Football. Looks like the Dallas Cowboys are playing in New York, facing the New York Giants, the New York East conference foes there, division foes, I should say. But right, we got a lot going on. Our Gophers football team looks electric. They did an excellent job this year. They won 34 this weekend, I should say, in East Lansing, where they won 34-7. Just total domination.
In his career. Faking the give to him, throwing for the end zone, adjustment, and a catch is made by Nick Callerup. First career touchdown for the redshirt junior.
Tanner Morgan, 23 of 26 for 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He was Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, and well-deserved. Mo Ibrahim, 22 carries, 103 yards. He kept that 100-yard rushing game streak alive, and so that's awesome. Good for him. Wide receivers, I want to say we hit 10 wide receivers, 10 different receivers got receptions. So just a surgical performance.
This drive over 5 minutes, looking to cap it off. Ibrahim powers his way in for the touchdown. And for Mo Ibrahim, it's a record.
They absolutely shellacked the Michigan State Spartans at Michigan State. So Michigan State did get a touchdown there at the end of the game. And honestly, I felt good for them because that's about all they had to feel good about that game. So well done to PJ Fleck and the rest of the Golden Gopher football team. St. Thomas football team, they're rolling. They're 2-1. They just absolutely shellacked Lincoln, California, as Lincoln traveled to St. Thomas this weekend, and St. Thomas won 43-6. So that was another blowout. Our Minnesota Vikings, they won. It was a barn burner there, 28-24 at US Bank Stadium. I was there at the game. Really cool. We really didn't have any business winning that game, but we did. And I mentioned it before, Vikings and Wild are probably our prime teams here in Minnesota. US Bank Stadium, if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. That place is just electric. Absolutely cool. I love how big the fan bases are. One thing I will say, when you have such a large fan base, you have a large tent, you do have fans that can be a bit pessimistic and ridiculous, I would say. There's people throwing the paper programs. And if you wonder why there's no paper programs at the University of Minnesota football games, maybe that's got something to do with it. Yeah, you got people yelling and cussing out Kirk Cousins. Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible. He's awful. And then he leads the game-winning drive to score a touchdown. And those same fans are cheering and buying tickets. And they see you next week, right? They'll be at the next game. Well, maybe they won't be traveling to London. That's where they play next, as they'll take on New Orleans. But regardless, yeah, that's the one thing I noticed about the large fan bases. And as some of our other teams, like the Gophers teams and St. Tommie's teams, as they continue to grow their fan bases, that's one thing that they'll have to deal with, especially this Gopher football team. 4-0, we're rolling. We're finally ranked 21 in the AP poll, 23 in the coaches poll. You're going to start seeing some bandwagons. I was once one of those bandwagons, and I didn't totally understand the culture of Sky Uma, the philosophy of row the boat, and there was a lot of disconnect with me and the core fans. And Luke Buer, who's been a mentor to me, he's the co-host of Gopher Gridiron Radio. That's probably the best Gopher football podcast there is. He actually had just a fantastic, phenomenal tweet this weekend. Essentially, just to sum it up, just beware, there's the bandwagoners are coming. Casual fans are coming. We welcome them with open arms. Go on to Huntington Bank Stadium. You've got an absolute squad this year to check out, the Golden Gopher football team. But just core fans, hardcore fans, you got to be patient, because as casual fans can sometimes be a bit ridiculous. As fans is short for fanatics. So be patient, be welcoming, be compassionate, as our man Luke Buer summed up there, and be leaders, right? If we throw a bad interception, if we don't score, if something bad happens, don't be fatalistic. Don't say, oh, you should have threw it, you should have ran it, yada, yada. No, just cheer on the team. Just move on. It's sports. It's life. Doesn't always go your way. But win, lose, or draw, we got to cheer on the squads. And so that's the only thing. I'll get off my soapbox there, but that's the one thing I did want to say. Regardless, though, we will keep this thing short and sweet. We're going to keep the interviews rolling. I feel it's the fall semester, and so why not keep this thing college athlete themes? So we're going to have some real cool college athletes coming up. We'll have a few from St. Thomas. We'll probably have a few more from the University of Minnesota. Eventually, we'll get some pro athletes on here, too, and some more insiders. I hope to have my buddy Josh back on the show, top 60 NFL Vikings fan, and hopefully we can talk some more Vikings football as well. But for this weekend, for this week, I'll leave you all be. So thank you so much. Please, if this show grows, if you don't know, I support all the NIL programs for the University of Minnesota. Dinkytown Athletes just launched today as I record this show on Monday. And so Monday, September 26th, and I've joined the membership. I'm a Dinkytown Athletes donor. I know the Gopher football team started their own little Twin Cities NIL club. I joined that. I'm a member there. Athletes that are on this show compensated for their time as they should be. So I definitely want to support our athletes, whether it's college, pro athletes. They could probably support me, right? And as this show grows, I can continue to do that. So please subscribe, download the podcast, follow the podcast on Apple, on Spotify, you name it, just about every audio streaming platform you could think of. Share it if you can. Follow the social media, and I'm doing better at the content there, and I'm doing everything I can to go to these games and to provide good content. But anything you could do to support the Minnesota Mike's podcast would be greatly appreciated, and I promise you I won't let you down. I love sports. I love competition. I love the state of Minnesota. This place means something to me. This is where I grew up, and this is where my dad showed me the sport of football, and I wasn't very good in the beginning, and I got pretty good, and I made him proud. And rest in peace. Hopefully I can make them proud on this podcast. So with that being said, you all know the tagline. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, none of that matters. We're all on the same team here at the Minnesota Mike's podcast. Thanks, folks. Have a great week. Have a great day. Peace.
Steady heading. Don't nobody see the vision till after you made it. On the road and rich is speeding. I just hope I'm not lost. Lost some homies run away for them. I gotta push on. If you ain't here, it'll work. Busky, you can get lost. Thought my heart was freezing. Gotta let it defrost. Since I was a youngin', I've been counting payments. Open up the legs, just got fans waiting.